Once we complete our data ingestion, cleansing and transformation in our data warehouse, there could be a requirement where we have to send the data outside of our Snowflake data warehouse system. And data export or a data unloading could be one of the requirement. Snowflake allows us to download data using its Snowsite web UI in CSV, TSV and Microsoft Excel format. And as per Snowflake's documentation, it does not limit the size of the files exported from the query result using web UI. But what if you want the file to be downloaded in certain location on a scheduled basis, or file to be available in JSON format or GZip format or Parquet format and not just a CSV or a TSV format, or in a smaller file size with multiple files? Then how would you do that? And you must have an option to achieve this in Snowflake. To serve this requirement, Snowflake allows us to unload data directly into a stage location, be it AWS S3 bucket or ADLS Gen 2 or a GCP bucket. These stage locations are called external named stages. Once the bulk upload is done in the stage location, your data project needs to place the unloaded file into an FTP location, or some might send the data file via email to third party. Snowflake is coming with a lot of new features, and the future version of Snowflake can allow you to directly FTP a data file from Snowflake to other FTP location, and it can allow you a data file to be emailed to some email address. But with current Snowflake release version 7.38.1, these features are not possible. In this video, we are going to learn how to unload data using a copy command and explore unloading data to the named stage location, how to download data file to local machine using get command via SnowSQL CLI, how to specify different file formats, limitations with the file format, means does it support ORC or Avro format, how to give a specific file name and limitation related to that, how to specify the file size, how to control the unload feature with a single file versus multiple files, how to define file compression, and how to enable partition while unloading the data, and how to unload a query result. This is a hands-on tutorial, and everything we will do can be done using Snowflake's free trial edition. For simplicity, we are going to use an employee table and a department table, and we will unload these dataset and understand the entire unload concept in Snowflake. Welcome back to my channel, Data Engineering Simplified. The hands-on exercise covered in this video can be tried in your free trial account. Create an Enterprise Edition instance on AWS so you can access all the features enabled without any issue. If you have any technical questions, need architectural advice, wants guidance on starting or migrating legacy to Snowflake kind of a data project, do not hesitate to reach out to me on my Instagram account. Many talented Snowflake developers are learning and growing quickly. If you would like to join this exciting journey, be part of my exclusive Facebook group. I am curious to have you on board. You can scan the QR code or find the link in the description section below to join this exclusive Facebook group. And yes, if you are really passionate about managing your ETL workload more programmatically using Snowflake Snowpark Python API and bring efficiency to your day-to-day development activities and stay away from those boring DDL and DML creation work, you can look into my Udemy courses. They include comprehensive source code and practical example to guide you. You can also find the link in the description section. Let's first understand two variants of a copy command. If you have to copy data from external stage location to Snowflake tables, you run a copy command into table name from stage name. For example, copy into my EMP table from @mystage. Here, stage could be an external stage or internal named stage or user stage or table stage. It could be anything, and it really doesn't matter for this copy command. This process is called loading data into Snowflake from stage location. Similarly, when we have to unload data and move data out of Snowflake, we can run same copy command, and this time we will write copy into @stage name from table name. For example, copy into @my named stage from my EMP table. This command will move data from Snowflake to the stage location. It is not necessary that you have to give external stage name. Here you can again unload data to internal stages or user stage or table stage locations. If you want a query result to be unloaded into a stage location, then you simply replace table name with a SQL query. And if you look into this example, it is a select name from my employee table. As per Snowflake's documentation, there is no specific restrictions or a limitation about the format of the query as long as it is a select statement. When we run copy into stage from a table, we also have to provide additional unloading option including the file format. File format indicates what should be the format followed by unloading copy options. For example, overwrite, single, max file size, include query ID and detailed output. We are going to see each of these parameter and their behavior while running the copy into location command. Other option comes from your file format definition. For example, the type of compression, file extension, field delimiter, field optionally enclosed by. So let's jump into our Snowsite web UI and start unloading data and practice those SQL statements. Before we proceed, we are not going to explain how the internal or external stages are created because for this copy command, internal or external stage really does not matter. This is my Snowsite web UI and I have three tables called department, employee and JSON employee, and we will see why do we need JSON employee. If you look into the department table, it has department ID, department name and manager. If I look into the data preview, this is how my data looks like. Second, I have employee table which has close to 1 million record, and this 1 million record, and if you look into the size of this 1 million record, it is close to 74.5 MB. These are the column. I have employee ID, first name, last name, email. So close to 16 columns I have in this table. Let's see the data preview. And this is how my data looks like. If I look into the JSON employee has only one column called JSON data as a variant column. And if you look into the data preview, it has a JSON data because if we have to export data into a JSON format, either it has to be a variant column or we have to write a select query using object construct, convert it into a variant column, then Snowflake will allow us to unload data into the JSON format. So this is my new worksheet called Unload with Default Configuration. And before we really start unloading data, let me create three different file format. The first file format is called Unload CSV format, where we will try to export the data in CSV format, where field will be delimited with comma and each line will be delimited with new line character. The file extension will be CSV and compression would be none. So this is my first file format, and this file format is going to be used in our copy command. It is created successfully. Now I am creating second file format where the compression is GZip, and we will see if I have to unload data in GZip format with CSV, how this file format helps us. So this also got created. The third file format is called Unload TSV file format, where my field delimiter is pipe sign and it is also uncompressed. And if you look into the file extension, instead of CSV, it will generate .tsv. So you can also give .txt or any other file extension, and the file extension will come from the file format. Except one particular situation, and we are going to understand, or in which case the file extension parameter can be specified as a part of a copy command and not as a part of file format. So let me create this file format. So the file format created successfully. Let's quickly run show file format. So here is my result: unload CSV format, unload CSV GZip format, unload TSV format. All of them belong to learning schema. And here is my format option available. So this is my stage location, which is called my unload stage. And this stage location can be any named stage location. For Snowflake, it does not matter whether it is external named stage or internal named stage. As long as your role has access to this stage location, copy command will function appropriately without any issue. So I am going to unload my data into my unload stage followed by department context. I will add part 1, and you need to make sure that you specify the forward slash, else your data file will have part -01 as a prefix. So I do not have any file available in this stage location. Now what I am going to do, so now let's unload the data into this location where I am running a copy into name of the location where I want to unload the data, and unload all the data from the department table, and the file format is CSV. I would say CSV, unload CSV format. In both the cases I will give the same name. Now let's run this copy into stage unload command. So I have total 20 department. If you look into the result, total 668 bytes is read and 668 bytes are written into the stage location. It has unloaded 20 records, and let's see how does it look like. So if I go to this location and I say, so here is my stage name, my unload stage, department, data underscore 0 underscore 0 underscore 0 dot CSV, and this is my size 672. So I can write it here, 672, looks good. Now if I try to do the same thing for my employee table, so here I have given a context called employee part 1. Let me rerun this. My employee has 1 million record, and let's see how does it look like. If you look into the input and output bytes, it's a quite a big number, 210,149,246. It is close to 210 million bytes is written, and the data set say 1 million record is unloaded. Now let's see how does it look like. So if you look into the naming pattern, it says my unload stage followed by employee part 1 and then data 000.csv, and it keeps on moving like 1, 2, 3, 4 likewise. Since I have a large data set, it has divided the data into a 16 MB chunk, and each 16 MB has been written into a separate file, and this is the naming pattern. You can run the remove command and you can remove the file, so it will remove the file from this stage location. Now let me quickly download the department table and see how does it look like. For that I will go back to my SnowSQL CLI and try to download the data using get command. So I am connected to my SnowSQL. I have changed my role, database and schema, so I should be able to access. And if you look into this line, it says get my unload stage, department part 1 and the data 000.csv, and this department table I am downloading into this location. So the data file downloaded successfully. Let me open another. And if you look into the output, all the data are available. The first is department ID followed by department name and followed by department manager. Looks good. If you look into this result, it does not have a header, and we will see in the next part of this video how you can add header, and double quote is coming. Field optionally enclosed by value is given as a double quote. That's why all the text fields are coming in a double quote. So this is how you can use the get command from your SnowSQL and download the data if you're using internal stage, which I'm using internal named stages for this demonstration purpose. If you are using external named stage, then you may not be able to download the data from that location. So get command works for your internal named stages, table stage and user stage. It does not work for external named stage. So we have seen how to download the data file in CSV format. Next question we have in our mind, that how to download CSV format which is compressed with GZip compression. For that, I don't have to make any changes. I have to use a different file format, and we have created a file format where compression is equals to GZip. So if you look into this unload CSV GZip format, it has a compression GZip. If I use this file format for my unload purpose, unload the file in GZip. Now I'm going to write the data into the part 2 context. I will first unload the department table. Let me run this SQL. So if you look into this result, the input byte is 668, but output byte is 452. Okay, now let me write it here. Now if you have to really save the storage cost, you can always use GZip format, and let me run the list command to see how the data looks like. So if you look into the extension, it says data 000.csv.gzip. So if I run the same command for my employee table, and this is how it looks like. Let me execute this unload copy command. So here you can see a significant difference. The input is 210 million bytes and output is 75 million. One more interesting thing I would like to show you how the query profile looks like. So if I click on view query profile, so this is a table scan. The table scan has written 1 million record to the unload function, and unload step has unloaded data into my unload stage. The total number of partition it has read is 20. So all the partitions are read. It has scanned total 75 MB dataset, and the number of bytes unloaded is 71 MB. Now let's run the list command and see how the employee data looks like. So this time I have got total 8 files, and if you look into the result, since it is a zipped format, the total size is very less compared to the previous run, and it has total starting from 000 to 070, and all the files are having extension called csv.gzip. It clearly shows that whenever you are unloading data and you want to bring some efficiency in terms of execution as well as in terms of storage, you can always use the GZip compression to unload your data. Our next requirement is to unload the data in TSV file format, where we want the extension to be TSV. I don't want any compression, and file extension should be .tsv. In that case, I can simply change my file format to unload TSV file format, and let's see how the TSV file format looks like. So this is my TSV file format, where file type is CSV because this is how the delimited file format looks like. My compression is none. My field delimiter is pipe, and rest of the informations are same. File extension should be TSV. Again, I am running this unload copy command where all the data would be written in a part 3. And let's run this department first. So CSV, TSV has no specific difference. So here it has written total 668 byte. And if I run the copy command with employee table, so this query duration is 5.2 seconds. Now let's see how employee unload data looks like. So I have total 16 data files, and all the file extensions are .tsv. So by using a file format, you can change the extension and the delimiter, and that way you can unload the data as per your specific need. Now you may have a next question. What if I do not have access to any named stages? Can I still download the data somewhere within the Snowflake? Yes, you can do that. If you have access to the table, you can also download the data into your unnamed stages like a table stage or user stage. If you have not seen my other video where we have explained the different stages, I would request you to go and watch this video. If you have to access unnamed table stage, you have to use %sign followed by the table name, and if you have to use the unnamed user stage, then you have to use tilde sign, and after that we can use / to create a context. And let's run this list command and see if I have any data set available here or not. My stage location is empty, and if I look into my user stage, this location is also empty. For user stage, you really do not need any special permission. Yes, for table stage, you need certain permission, but for user stage, nothing is required. So now I am going to unload my department data into my department under context part 04, and let me execute this. My data got written into this location, and let's run this. I have the data file available. Now I can run the get command and download this data to my local machine. Likewise, if I go and want to write the data into my user stage, I can run copy into @tilde followed by department as a context, part 04 as another context, and all the file will be written inside this stage location. So my file is written here. Now if I run my list command, the file is available in my user stage location. Good. So if you have a situation where you do not have access to any named stage location or external named stage location, you can always download or unload the file from your user stage or your table unnamed stage. So let's say I have a requirement where I have already unloaded data, but I want to overwrite the data without running a remove command. What should I do? Let's try that option. So this is my stage location. Let's see whether I have any data available in this stage location. So it is empty. Now I am going to run this copy command where I am unloading department data, and this is my standard copy command. Data got unloaded successfully. Now if I rerun this same copy command, let's see what happens. It clearly says file already exists at the unload destination @ my unload stage department override. Use overwrite option to force unloading. So I have added overwrite equals to true, and by default overwrite value is set to false. However, when you have a requirement that you have to unload the data in a same location again and again with the same file name, you can use this option. And now if I run this, I still have the file available in my department overwrite location. And now if I run this command, let's see what happens. So it has unloaded data. Let's see query profile. So if you look into the query profile, it has no specific changes. Only one thing to notice, since I am running this command very frequently, the table scan is actually coming from the cache, which is a warehouse cache. And if you are not fully aware of warehouse concept or a result cache concept, I would request you to watch my entire playlist or this specific videos from my Snowflake tutorial. Let's talk about another parameter in the copy option which allows you to specify the file size. You may have a requirement that your file size should be limited to 1 MB or a 5 MB or a 8 MB. By default, if you do not specify, the file size is 16 MB, and if your data is very huge, the unload feature will automatically chunk the data in a 16 MB size and then export the data into a stage location. So if I have a requirement where I would like to specify download the chunk in a smaller file size and the file size value is 8 MB, in that case I have to use this copy option parameter called max file size, and the max file size value is 16 MB. If I have to make it 8 MB, I can write it 8 MB, and let's see what happens. So right now I am going with employee table because employee table has 1 million record, and if you do not specify anything, it was creating total 16 chunk or a smaller file. And now if I say 8 MB, let's see what happens. So the file size is remains same, no change. But if I go and run this list command, I can see the result says I got total 28 smaller chunk, and each of this chunk is close to 8 MB. And Snowflake copy command is intelligent enough to split the file into a smaller file, and that's why sometimes you see some files are 7 MB and some files are 5 MB. And here also some files are less than 5 MB, right? So if you have a requirement to download files of 1 MB size, 16 MB size, 10 MB size, you can always specify. But what if I specify more than 16 MB? Let's say if I specify 20 MB, let's say what happens. So it has executed successfully. Now let me go and check the file size. So it has downloaded data in 20 MB. So this way you can really control the file size. Now if you notice one thing, I forgot to give a forward slash after this word, and that's why Snowflake has taken this word as a prefix instead of a data underscore, and now it is saying 20 MB underscore followed by your 000 notation and then the file extension. So if you want to change the file name and if you want to give a different file name, and remove the forward slash, and it will take this as a prefix and then it will suffix the number followed by file extension. You may have a requirement where you have to download the entire dataset as a single file and you don't want any file to be partitioned or chunked in a smaller file. In that case, what option Snowflake provides with its copy command? So that option is called single equals to true. By default, single is always false. So the Snowflake automatically chunk data into a 16 MB size. Now, if I try to specify this parameter saying single equals to true, let's see what happens. So now if I run this list command, it is a single file. However, it has not taken the extension. When you unload your data in a single file, you have to specify the extension as a part of this stage location. Otherwise, it will not take the extension. Let me remove this file running a remove command and regenerate it. It is removed. Now let me rerun this. Now I can say single underscore file dot CSV is generated. Looks good. What if I have a lot of data and I would like to download in a single file? Let's see what happens if I execute the same unload copy command for employee table which has 1 million record. So it says max file size is 16 MB exceeded for unload single file mode. So we recommend to increase the max size file parameter or disable the single file mode. So if I increase the max size file parameter, let's see what happens. If I say 100 MB and let's see what happens. Max size exceeded the single mode. So again, it is not working. Now it says that disable single file mode. And if I disable the single file mode, let's see what happens. Now let's say I use CSV zip format and keep it 100 MB and I remove the single file format. Let's see what happens if I run this command. So it has downloaded the single file in a zip format. So if you look into the output, even though I have specified 100 MB as a size, it has taken close to 11 MB as a max size. Okay, so this is the limitation with your max size or a single file option. Snowflake has another copy parameter called detailed output, and if you specify this output equals to true, it helps us to know how many records are if it is creating a multiple file as an unloaded option. So this is my copy command where I have on the line number 192, I have specified detailed output equals to true, and let's see how does it look like. When the output is generated, it is clearly telling what is the name of the file, okay, what is the size of the file. So here it is 16 MB, 4 MB, 16 MB, 4 MB and so on, and each file how many record counts are there. It does not allow you to control the record count, and this is total 16 files. So this is how you can really execute this detail output command to get a better visibility. The copy option has another parameter called include query ID, and if you specify include query ID value equals to true, then the query ID will also be added as a part of your file name. And let's say I want to give a prefix called DEPT, and then if I run this copy command, let's see what happens. So it has unloaded, and if I run the list command, so what I noticed here, even though I have not given any forward slash here, it generated include query followed by department and followed. So if you look into this result, it says include query, then department as another context, and then data underscore the query ID. So if you are unloading a lot of data and you want to ensure that the query ID, which is a unique ID, should be part of your data file name, you can use include query ID equals to true. It does not impact anything on your actual outcome as a data file, but data file will be named through the query ID, so you can track it which query actually downloaded this data as a part of unload operation. Understand how to use the header feature where you would like the data file should have the column header. For that, this unload copy command has a parameter called header equals to true, and when this parameter is given, it will automatically add the header value in each of this data file. Now let's try for the department table first. Now if you look into the byte size has increased, maybe increased by 30 or 40 bytes. It was close to 600 something, now it is 710. Let me copy this location. I am downloading this file and will compare with my part 1 file. If you see the size, it is 668, here it is 710. Let me take this file. In this example, I have department ID, department name and manager as a header. So this is the use of header equals to true. Now we have another scenario where I cannot specify a table name, but I would like to unload the output of a query. In such case, instead of giving the table name, we can specify a select statement, and it can be any kind of a select statement. In this case, I am giving select star from employee where department ID equals to 10, and I have specified stage location name is department equals to 10 and all the employee. Let me execute this unload copy command. If you look into the result, close to 10 MB file is written for department 10. And let me run this list command. I can see, so result is visible here with department. Let's try to download this data and see how the data looks like. So the data got downloaded in 17 seconds and this is the name of the file. Now let's go back and check how does it look like. So this is my designation, which is roughly 6th column, and here all the department value is 10. So looks good. So this is how I downloaded the data, and the header has come from your column name from the select statement. Looks good. Now you may have an interesting use case where you would like to give a partition name to your stage location, and to achieve this we have a keyword called partition by. So if you look into this copy command, I am unloading data from employee table, and here it is primarily coming in CSV format employee, and then I am specifying partition and then partition by department ID. Let me run this unload copy command and let's see what kind of result does it bring. So it has written the same amount of data into the stage location. If I run the list command on this stage location, it has partitioned the data. So if you look into this result, it has my partition followed by 1 and then followed by 10, 11, 12. So I have a total 20 partition, and each partition is close to 10 MB. If you have a multiple file, then obviously inside the 12 partition you will get more files. So this is how this partition has worked. I can also add an expression, and that expression will give me more meaningful value. So for example, I would like to say employee and I don't want to give any other name called partition, and here I want this partition column to be generated dynamically where department equals to the partition ID. If I do that, let's see what happens. If you look into the stage name, it says employee, department equals to 1, department 10, department 11. So this is the power of this partition by expression, where you can add the partition by column and Snowflake will automatically unload the data as per your partition column. I downloaded one of the file and let's see how the data looks like. If I look into my data file, it has a department ID which is nothing but the 6th column. This is my 1, this is my 1, this is my 1, and this is my 1. So Snowflake has really taken care of the data here. Now the next requirement, we may have to download the data in non-CSV format, and in this case if I have to unload the data in a Parquet format. The syntax is very simple. In the file format, either you attach a file format which is representation of a Parquet, or you can give type equals to Parquet, and that's it. And some of the options are not applicable and some of the options are applicable, but here we'll keep it simple, and I am unloading the employee data into Parquet employee location from the employee table where my file format type is Parquet. Let's see how does it look like. If you look into the output, so this is an interesting thing. It has read exactly the same 1 million row, but it has read 83 MB of data and it has written 83 MB of data. Now in previous case, when we unloaded data, it read 210 MB data and it wrote 210 MB. When we use the CSV GZip, it read 210 MB data, but it wrote 75 MB data, and in this case it has extracted 83 MB data set and written 83 MB data set. We can first check the query profile. How does it look like? So it has read total 20 partition, looks good. Byte scan is 75 MB, which is also good. Number of bytes unloaded is close to 80 MB. So most expensive node is unload node because it has read the employee data and it has unloaded data in a Parquet format. When I run the list command, let's see what happens. It has unloaded data in snappy compression, and if you look into the data size is close to 12 MB, 8 MB, 8 MB, 12 MB, and this is my file count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks good. Upload. We have seen how to do a bulk export or unload the CSV files and Parquet file from our table. And we also see how to use the different copy parameters and file format parameters to change the multiple options. Now our next requirement is to download the table data into JSON format. Now obviously if you look into the line number 9, I can simply say file format type equals to JSON and it should allow me to download the data. Let's try that. It says unsupported feature unloading of more than one column or a non-JSON values. So since my value is JSON, Snowflake expect the table should have the variant column, otherwise it will not allow us to download it. So we have an employee table called JSON underscore employee, which has this variant column. So if I hover here, it says variant column. And if I have to download the data in a JSON format, I have to use variant column. I cannot use a table which does not have a variant column. So I change this from equals to JSON employee. Let's unload this data. So this time it has worked properly because I have a very small data set for our demonstration purpose. It has only 21 rows. Now let's see how the data looks like in my JSON employee location. So the JSON file got downloaded and the extension of JSON file is called JSON.zip. You can certainly use a file format and change the extension from JSON.gzip to JSON. This is how you can download the data in a JSON format. If you really want to download employee data where employee data is available in non-semi-structure format, in that case you have to use the object construct, convert that into a variant column, and then you can have the download. And for that you cannot directly download from the table. You have to use the select statement to unload the data. Project may have to download the data in ORC, Avro or XML format. Does Snowflake support this file format as on today with 7.38.2 version? I'm trying to download this employee data and I have specified type equals to Avro. Let's see whether it works or not. So it clearly says unload not yet implemented for file format Avro. And if I say ORC, it also says unload not yet implemented for file format ORC. And if I say XML, let's see what happens. It says not yet implemented for XML format. So you can download data only in field delimited values, Parquet and JSON. Only these three file formats are supported. All other file formats are not supported. If you really have a requirement where you have to support other file format, you have to first download into the stage location and then you have to do the post processing to convert the file into expected output format. So I hope you have enjoyed this unload data into stage location, where we have covered how to unload data into named stage or unnamed stage, how to download data into a local machine, different file formats, limitation with the file format, file names, file size, single file versus multiple file, file compression, partition by clause, table data versus query data. Feel free to join my Facebook private group where a lot of interesting things are being discussed and a lot of things are also shared, which is not available publicly in my YouTube channel. If you have any specific queries and you want to get in touch with me, please reach out to me in my Instagram account. Don't forget to press the like button and share with others. By doing so, YouTube will recommend more relevant videos from my channel. Thanks for watching. Happy learning and keep growing.